Welcome in to Bring the Thunder podcast. We got the Thunder coverage here, Jack and myself, Thunder Talk. We're going to be talking about the summer league that just, ended and who could possibly take that two-way spot. But I think covering the whole summer league kind of as a summary, the first game that we had was the Thunder versus the Nets, where we won 90-81. And I'll let Jack kind of cover some of the individual stats for that game.
Yeah, so AJ Mitchell had 20 points, Brooks Barnhizer had 7 rebounds, and Nikola Topic had 6 assists. Great win for the boys, beating all 5 of the Brooklyn Nets first-round picks in the first glimpse of these new players in the Las Vegas Summer League. Topic also had 18 points, and Chris Youngblood had 19 points in that game. Those are Chris Youngblood's the name to watch for the last two-way spot. And then not much else happened outside of that. It was a pretty uneventful game. First game of Summer League, but the Nets do not look good. That's what I took away from that game. Not much facing.
None of their picks really shined. I think maybe that one kid, Drew Timmy, in the post was pretty solid, gave us a little bit of fits, but it's not really hard to figure out a post player nowadays. But I thought like Topic looked pretty good for a debut game. I thought he would be nervous. He really wasn't. And AJ, just like the way he played, showed that he didn't belong in that first game in Summer League. And then Youngblood had 19 in that. So I think that was pretty impressive by him. I think moving over to the next game of Summer League, which was against the Indiana Pacers, it was a complete freaking blowout in that game. And Barnhizer had 25 points. Leon's at 28. AJ at 25. I think Youngblood, I'm reading the wrong ones. Leon's at 16. Barnhizer at 17. Topic at 7. AJ had 13. But Chris Youngblood had 21 in this one. And Yazian Gortman had 17. I feel like the couple guys that we're going to focus on for like that two-way spot is Malevy, Leons, Chris Youngblood, and Yazian Gortman. And the amount of minutes they got in this and how it was a blowout, and they all kind of showed out in this. I felt like they kind of separated themselves from the rest of the guys on the Thunder that are fighting for the two-way.
Yeah, and then this was a game that Nikola Topic had 10 assists in, which was pretty cool for us to see. And I just wanted to shout out Buddy Boeheim and Hunter Maldonado, former OKC Blue players we had to play against. But it was Malevy Leon's really I think he turned up in the third quarter to put the game away, and he went on like a 6-0 run by himself. He finished with 16 points, 10 rebounds. I mean, he's my top pick for the two-way, so I was really happy with this game. But Youngblood as well, 5 for 8 from 3. Can't deny his great shooting ability. So
he's a pure shooter. I think he's kind of gotten my pick for who I'd want the two-way to go to, because I feel like you can't have enough shooting around a guy like Shea. So, when it comes to defense, or do I want more shooting right now, I think we need the more need is towards the shooting. Even though Leon's can kind of, he's a prototypical kind of wing that it's hard to find those types of guys that can play defense and wing and space the floor and things like that. But feels like we have, one of the best floor spacers and defenders in Chet Holmgren. So I feel pretty comfortable at that like front court spot versus, taking an extra shooter would be nice. The next game that we had was against the Magic. That was another blowout, 92-75. There was a couple guys that were kind of showing out.
And one of them was AJ Mitchell, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, which is really, really good. And then Brandon Carlson, I believe his first game, and he had 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks, which is good to see him back. He didn't play the first couple games. Everyone was speculating. But he's obviously too good for Summer League, and too good for a two-way even. So we're very lucky to have him on a two-way, which is just shows how stacked of a class we are. And then as for the guys fighting for the two-way, Malevy Leons had 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists that game. And then Chris Youngblood didn't score. Yeah, 17 minutes, didn't score. He had a pretty rough game, but I guess when you got 2 players combining for 50 points, you don't really need to. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And his comes from like spot up shooting, so it kind of is very guard dependent in terms of his looks, but he still had a pretty solid plus minus in Youngblood. And then the guy I want to shout out like that isn't fighting for a two-way is Brooks Barnhizer. He just showed out in every game, put full effort, and his plus minus was always really solid for most. So that's kind of the shout out that I wanted to quickly give here. Let's keep moving towards the next game here. I believe this was, let's see,
New Orleans.
yeah, against the Pelicans. What did you think about this game?
I did think this would be the end of the road for the Thunder's Summer League campaign. Just having to play against Jeremiah Fears. Luckily, Derek Queens was out, but yeah, it was a pretty well-rounded game. Pretty solid from everyone. And this is a game that Brooks Barnhizer had 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks, which is, I mean, he's just killing it. Like, he's not going to be on a two-way by the end of this year, I don't think, because if he keeps it up. I think Chris Youngblood bounced back with 14 points. And at this point, I was kind of thinking, like, man, I do not know who is going to get this two-way because Malevy's defense is insane. Like, he can guard pretty much 1 through 5. But then Chris Youngblood is such a shooter. So it really started making me start thinking about it, and had a lot of discussions with people about who's going to get this last two-way. And it could honestly go either way. But yeah, great win for the guys against the Pelicans.
I think the third guy out on both of our lists is Gortman, but I think there's a lot of other teams that someone will end up scooping him up because he's a really good guard. Like just in general, like his ball handling is ridiculous. We've seen, a bunch of House of Highlights clips of him. So I think he'll definitely get scooped up somewhere.
And then the final game was against the Hornets. This was the semifinals, and I turned it off halfway through because the Thunder was shooting like 1 for 40 from 3. They shot 31% from the field. Obviously, no AJ or Topic, so there wasn't really a true ball handler or, I guess, a summer league veteran. But yeah, it was pretty painful to watch. So, but
yeah. Even in a rough game, though,
even
in a rough game, Youngblood shot 2 for 3 on his, like, he's just so, like, he doesn't have to be high volume. And even if he is, he's usually pretty efficient. That's the thing I like about him personally. And then Leons is so consistent on his like minimum amount of points that he'll score just because of his size. And then on top of it, what he's going to get from the defensive end. I think let's move towards, trying to figure out, like, let's both try to get a consensus going between ourselves. I think that'll be fun.
Well,
like, do you think you'll move off of Leons for a shooter, or do you think, what do you think?
When I was thinking about it to myself, I thought, well, last year we had Adam Flagler, who was known as a shooter. G League, he'd be dropping 30 points, maybe 6 or 7 threes. And in the G League Summer League, at that level, he was a shooter and an elite one. So I could understand the rationale to signing him to a two-way. But then it didn't translate to the NBA. As we know, he struggled quite a lot shooting in the NBA. So if we sign Youngblood, it just feels like a repeat of Adam Flagler to me. It might not be, and he could be a good shooter, but he's definitely a better defender and a better all-round player. But I think Malevy Leon's, his defensive versatility is just incredible. Like, he's just everywhere. Can guard 1 through 5. Yeah, and he can also stretch the floor. He was knocking down a lot more threes than he was last year in this year's summer league. So, I mean, I'm pretty high on him. I think just his raw talent is really good and his feel for the game. So, if I had to choose, I'd go him just because we've already tried the shooter last year, and I think just having someone with that much defense to add to this team would just be cool. But I'd be interested to hear your opinion.
Man, it's getting tough. I'm looking at both of them. I feel like we've seen more of Leon's where it's like, yeah, his game has grown, but it's not, compared to other talent in the summer league, it's gonna show a little bit better. But we've seen what it is in the G League and on a consistent manner. Like he's just consistently like the level of player he is. So I know what I'm getting from him. So if that's the way Presti decides to go, like, hey, this is a guy that I know what he's bringing, like I'm gonna go with this guy. But I think we're gonna have to start shooting for upside on two ways and just free agents or whoever we're picking up or putting at the bottom of the roster. Like we've got to take some swings at some points. I think Youngblood in that sense would be a good swing, but I never thought about it the way you just explained it though, where if it doesn't work out because of the shooting translation doesn't come over, I can see that as well.
Yeah, and
Man,
the issue with that
that's
is you
tough.
can't if a shooter's not shooting well, you can't just cut him because you got to have faith in him. Like I
Mm,
I admired the way Presti kept Adam Flagler on and let him finish the season because you can't just let a shooter have half a season and be like, oh, you didn't shoot. Like eventually
mhm.
they'll turn around, but I mean, Adam Flagler didn't in the end, but yeah. I did want to highlight two names that are also possible two-way contenders in Victor Larkin and Peyton Sanford, who were injured players on the Summer League roster, which has some people reporting that maybe they're getting the two-way or they'll probably be part of the OKC Blue. Peyton Sanford's an elite shooter. And I don't know much about Larkin if you know anything, but
Yeah, I can. So Locken, he averaged 11 points, 6 rebounds before his injury in his Clemson season. So he didn't really get the chance to play, but there has been buzz around him. I feel like there's not usually a reason that Presti signs guys that have injuries, and we've seen him do it with Topich to Stash. So if he really saw something in either of those guys, I could see him saving that two-way spot for them. I wouldn't honestly be mad at whatever Presti decides, but I feel like I like the young, exciting pick versus um, because of how deep our roster is. Like we have to take upside swings for someone even to crack the roster. Like someone even take a spot away from Isaiah Joe even or Aaron Wiggins is so tough because of just how good they are. So it's like
yeah,
you have to see their game translate even further in the actual NBA game speed. And I think the one place where Leon's lacks is his game speed. Like he's able to play at a slower pace, but when it comes to maybe NBA pace, it's a little bit more difficult for him to translate against like faster guards, um, bigger like wings, bigger sized centers, because he is undersized. If he can continue to like put on the weight that I can clearly see he's like putting on muscle and stuff, if he can keep doing that, maybe it's worth taking him on in that sense. Um, I just feel like there's just something missing with him, man. For me, at least.
mhm,
I don't know what it is. There's some sort of it factor. Um, at least in my eye test, like the numbers, him on the screen, like he looks fantastic on defense. Like clearly his game's grown, but I can't pinpoint it. Like I guess it's just the upside factor for me. So.
yeah. It'll be interesting to see. And I don't think there is really a wrong answer, but
Mhm.
I wouldn't really want to see one of the injured guys get it
Yeah.
unless we see them play in the blue first, because we saw it with Alex Dukas last year. He was injured, didn't play summer league, and then got the two-way. And as much as I liked him on the team, I think he averaged 5 points in the G League on 20% from the field. So you got to know what you're getting. So yeah, it would be nice to get Youngblood or Leon's on that last two-way.
Yeah. Before we end things off, I just wanted to highlight like one last bit of Thunder news, which was Isaiah Hartenstein. He went on a podcast with Paul George, and he was talking about SGA and how he has no ego. And it was just really cool to see things like that where it's the off season and these guys are obviously doing a lot of media related things. And Shay's fully on his grind. His grind is a lot more public right now. More people have eyes on it in terms of like the types of workouts. I'm sure everyone's stealing the types of workouts he's doing over the summer, which is really cool to see. So those are the only two bits of like off-season things that are happening after the summer league. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. What else you got?
One thing related to the summer league, it just came out. AJ Mitchell made all summer league second team, which was pretty cool to see. Definitely all summer league first team if he had played more, but we know he got shut down pretty early, so
yeah,
I thought I'd include that.
Yep. He definitely should have been first team for just the talent he is, but I understand, didn't play enough. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. We'll have more off-season related content here. Friday at 3 p.m. we'll have the regular episode out and then 10-minute videos throughout the week. So hope you guys subscribe and peace out.